My name is Judy Robinson, and I am the author of a book about rediscovering the history of the Philippines. The Philippines is a country in Southeast Asia, but its history is deeply connected to Europe and the Americas. 500 years ago, Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan led an extraordinary voyage that crossed the largest ocean and arrived in the islands of the Philippines. They found a dense rainforest, palm trees, and what must have been paradise. Magellan and his men interacted with the island residents, engaged in a blood compact, and the first Catholic Mass was celebrated on the islands on Easter Sunday in 1521. Growing up in the Philippines, I read about these stories from our history textbooks. In remembering this 500-year anniversary, I decided to revisit Magellan's journey. Magellan's circumnavigation of the world has been described as the greatest sea voyage ever to be undertaken and continues to inspire today's explorers. However, I learned that it was probably Enrique of Malacca and not Magellan who was first to circumnavigate the world. Who was Enrique, and why didn't I remember reading about him in our history textbooks? I decided to read more stories about Philippine history, especially about our pre-colonial ancestors. The more that I researched, the more surprises that I found. I was fascinated by these discoveries, and as I shared them with Filipino friends, it turns out that they were also not aware of these stories about our ancestors. This is what inspired me to write this book. This book is for the Filipino diaspora, especially the next generation. How much do they really know about their rich and colorful heritage? This book includes stories and insights from members of the Filipino diaspora, including diplomats, scholars, and thought leaders. From them, I learned about how knowing our history affects cultural identity and what it means to be Filipino. My hope for this book is that in rediscovering our history, we learn who we were, who we are, and who we can be. Join me on this journey to rediscover the history of the Philippines. Maraming salamat po. Daghang salamat. My name is Judy Robinson, and I am the author of a book about rediscovering the history of the Philippines.